I'm a professional fundraiser. My background is fundraising and marketing. And my education came a little bit backwards because I was already in a career. I liked my career, and I had started at the Canadian Opera Company in the days before the arts really had taken fundraising very seriously, and it had become professionalized. So it was one of those careers that you could grow into because you were there doing it. And I was enjoying it, but I felt I wanted to do something more. And I thought I might go and do an MBA, thinking I can just go and do an MBA. Mm-hmm. And so I did the GMAT and sort of looked at my score. And while I could have got into a school, there was a little bit of a problem because my math score was here and my English score was there, and it was my English that was pulling me up. So I thought, well, I can do this, and I took a 12-week course. So one thing that York failed me on, it could not teach me algebra in 12 weeks. And so when I took the GMAT for the second time, my math actually went down because I knew a little bit too much and thought I had time to work it out, which of course you don't. But my English score went up. So I realized, okay, forget the MBA, I'm going to do English. And that's sort of clue number one, find out what you're good at and what you like to do. So I went back to Atkinson and started an English degree, not really knowing how it might help me or what it might do for me in a career perspective, but I did it for myself and for my own intellectual just enjoyment. And I loved it so much that when I graduated, I went on and did an MA. And then I was having fun doing that. And a great professor here, Ray Ellenwood, who always encouraged me to sort of, why don't you just keep on going? And so I applied to do a doctorate, which I did, and did my doctorate here. I was interested in post-colonial studies. I grew up in Africa, and I wanted to explore how I could have grown up in and educated in South Africa and not really understand, as a small girl, the political and the other ramifications of that country that I'm sure you all know about. So for me to be able to explore this in a way that was looking at it through literature and art was extremely exciting. And so in the meanwhile, I was still working in fundraising and growing in my career in fundraising at the same time as I was doing the academic side. After the opera, I went to the McMichael Gallery for 10 years. I then was at Havergal College Girls' School for 5 years, and that's where Miranda interned for me. We actually were doing a big fundraising gala, and she came along and was helping, and she was great with the volunteers. In fact, those of us on the staff were calling it the Ghastly Gala, but Miranda loved it. She just rose to the occasion, and so at the end of her internship, I actually hired her for 3 weeks to handle a lot of this Ghastly Gala for me, and as Dinah said, she went on to do great things in her career. And after the McMichael, I went to work at the Shaw Festival for 10 years, and then went to TIFF to help them with their Bell Light Box capital campaign. And now I'm sort of doing some consulting, but I'll tell you this side of my story in a minute. So through my career, what I found was that I was, in fundraising, you're communicating with people. It's all about building relationships. You're meeting extremely interesting people, and you need to present yourself in a way that's you can understand them and they can understand you. You do a tremendous amount of writing. You need to really take what it is your institution wants to do. So the Shaw Festival wanted to build a building. You have to take why do you want to build a building, what are you doing, and then build a case for it, something that's going to really hit at the heart of the donors. And one of the things in fundraising we always say is you need to really make, your donor needs to really want to give you the money. You can't just ask or make them feel they have to ask for the money. They need to connect with you and really make the donor feel that their gift is going to make a tremendous impact on whatever the cause is. And so to be able to take that and articulate that, you have to research, you have to interview the people that you're working with. I may not be a theater director, but I have to understand how theater works, what impact it has on the community, on society, and be able to take that and write about it. So being sort of educated in how to communicate, how to read things, how to articulate things was extremely important and helped me tremendously. The other thing is research, because in fundraising you do a lot of research, not just about the cause that you're working for, but about your donors. There's a whole field, and you have a whole department here in New York Development Office of people who are trained in humanities and in information studies on how to find out who these donors are and what makes them tick, what are they interested in, so that when you ask them for a gift, you can actually talk to them about something that they care about and connect with them in that way. So research was certainly a skill that I took from doing my own work. You have to sift through myriad facts, and you have to decide what are the most important facts to communicate, whether you're doing it in marketing, being able to say things briefly with impact, being able to write it well. These are all skills that you learn, I learned to hone in my humanities, and was able to then take it in my parallel life into my career. It was challenging at times because you have to write academic essays in certain ways, and you have to speak in communications in a different way. So I used to have to remember which hat I was wearing. But certainly it sharpened me up, made me more confident in what I was doing. And the other thing was that I had a lot of, in development you have a lot of young people working for you, either as interns or as people helping. And I was able to pass on a lot of the skills that I learned as a mentor to some of these young people who many of them have gone on to, I've got one young woman who was with me, and she's not so young anymore because this was a while back, but she's now the vice president at the St. Michael's Hospital in development, and so on. So people have, I feel that I was able to take what I learned here, transfer it through that to people who are now passing it on to other people, and that's a great feeling. The thing that I found that's the most important thing is that you need to really enjoy your career and enjoy what you're learning as well. And in fact, I must have enjoyed learning because I'm now back at Brock University, which is where I live down in Niagara, doing an interdisciplinary humanities course. Not necessarily for any career reason, because I'm sort of winding down my career side, but because I feel I've still got something to say, particularly in the area of my study, which was South African literature, and I'm looking at South African theater and the space of South African theater. So it shows that even though you can have a career, you can apply your learning to your career, you can also look at what your learning is doing for you in your whole life's worth and life interest. From an internship point of view, certainly in the fundraising marketing arena, there are tremendous internships. In the development side, that's the fundraising side, there was a program that unfortunately isn't running anymore because the government isn't funding it anymore. But they used to provide interns for 6 months at one institution doing marketing and 6 months at another doing development. And through those interns, those people went on to do some really interesting work. So when the money dried up, we still got people coming to us saying, we know we can't be paid, but can we intern anyway? And very often I was able to find some money in some pocket somewhere in the department's budget to pay them, but very often people came to me like Miranda and worked and all said they learned a tremendous amount, because what you're doing is you're really talking to professionals who are going to tell you how the game is played in a way, how to work your way into talking to donors, how to look at your career and what sorts of things are important. The other thing is that there are many streams that you can go into. For instance, in development, you can be in special events, you can be in major gifts, which is one-on-one talking to donors, or you can be really interested in research and become a researcher. Or you can become, what you can do is you can become somebody who's really into direct mail, doing a lot of writing, and doing a lot of strategic marketing work. So depending on what your instincts are and what you're interested in, by interning, you will find out before you find yourself down some stream it's not going to work for you. Your internship will give you an opportunity to run through all of those things. So really, if I want to just give a couple of brief things to think about, is when you go out looking for a job, is to think about what your strengths are. What are you interested in? What are you good at? And having been through a humanities course, you know you're going to think critically. You know that you can you articulate well. You know you can write well. So think about how you can apply those to areas that you're interested in. And that's what I did, and it's certainly working the two parallel worked for me. And as you can see, I'm still learning. So I wish you all the best.